Right. If you do the roll call, please.
Mayor McKay,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Fiscal,
Here.
Councilmember Hartman,
Here.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
Okay, if we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Thank you. You want to read public comment stuff, or no? We don't need to.
The rules of public comment are in the agenda. We only have one speaker today. Anyone else want to speak? We got to get them now. Seeing none? It's
Well,
fine.
Gay raised her hand.
Yeah, but she was late. Newell Hollingsworth. Newell.
Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. I took a look at the Griffin Road caution signs that they're now reinstalling on Griffin Road out west. Looks like they didn't put enough concrete around the base, so they've dug it all out, and so they're doing that. But there's 3 caution lights they didn't put in at all. There's no fixtures or anything for them. That's at 193rd Lane, where there's an opening in the guardrail. At the dam, which is between 205 and 202, and down at 209. So there's the 3 openings there into that need lights. Also, several months ago, I had mentioned about the equestrian crosswalks, and so far no meeting has been put together yet to discuss that with the county. So possibly, if, God forbid, another horse is ever hit, we can at least charge the individual who did it. So those are the one thing. And my orphan project list is growing faster than you guys are taking care of it. So I'd hope that you'll consider the master drainage plan in the budget this year. After all, we've got 3 former chairs up there, 1 former chair out here, and we still don't have the drainage plan, and all 4 of you worked on it in the past. Thank you.
Gay.
We had a little dog, not a little dog, it was a husky. We left our gate open and it came in yesterday. And my daughter and my granddaughter were looking for the owner. We went on Facebook, we took pictures, and then they rode on the back street. And they went up and down the street with the dog and finally found the owners and gave the dog to them. The dog was definitely lost. He was scared, real sweetie. What I wanted to say was that I did call the police because I couldn't keep the dog, and my dogs were having a fit, and I didn't have a place to put him safely. And I called the police, and they came out right away, and the gentleman was so nice, and fortunately we had found the owners. But he responded very quickly, and I just want to thank them, and I want the public to know that they would have held him at the fire department and tried to find the owners instead of returning, or taking him to the pound. So just if anybody out there catches a dog or anything and you can't find the owner and you can't keep it, I would recommend that you call our police department and let them take it from there, because they were really good and they came right away. One other thing. I heard through the grapevine that it's kind of stopped. I don't know if any of you know. They were trying to put a large animal veterinarian school at Cessa's. And it would, I had met with the gentleman and the woman veterinarians that were interested in it. Also, FIU president, and it was looked really great and hopeful. But they heard that this town doesn't want anything except houses. And so they stopped. And they're not pursuing it unless they know that there is a support system up here on this dais for it to happen. Otherwise, it's 1 acre home sites on that property, which will make Dykes Road 4 lanes. That I've been told. So I know the interest is to keep 4 lanes, or actually any road, off of 184th. And Dykes Road is kind of a throwaway. So I would hope that this dais
Give
would
it 31
them
seconds.
support so that they can move forward. It's too expensive if they get a no.
Thank you. Any others?
Mayor, we have, although after the time frame, Jim Lasky, so it's in your discretion whether or not you want to.
Yeah, I'll let him.
Jim?
Yep.
Jim Lasky, 5780 Southwest 188th Avenue. As Russell knows and as Mayor McKay knows, I've got a situation next to me that doesn't seem to be moving along very well. We got a false survey that was submitted to the town. Permits were issued. Notes were put on a plan to the adjacent property owner. Obviously, the property owner must have paid for those plans and the approval of such plans, right? But they affect my property. Her permit's been revoked. It's impossible, according to my engineer, to build what she wants to build on that property. So she had to use fraud. However, the person has a history of fraud, as some people know. You guys, we need to work on this and stop it. If this surveyor is for real, he needs to be banned from the town and from the state of Florida. There's a process for that. And I need some help. I'm going to get it one way or the other, but I want to do it the nice way. I don't want this to go any farther than us. But get rid of these people. We don't need them here. I mean, we talk about integrity. This person has, this crap that they were trying to do, this guy even got a document that allows him, the architect, okay, at the end of the construction process to approve any changes as to locations, setbacks, or whatever in the plans. You can read them yourself. You all have possession of them. I mean, I can't even find where this is even done in architecture. I really can. If somebody can help me with that, I appreciate it. But I used to work for 135 architects back in the 70s. Right? We never had people like this come anywhere near us. We wanted integrity in every engineering or every survey, anything we did. We didn't try to, it doesn't pay. It simply doesn't pay. It's a disaster when it's found out. Anyway, I need your help. Thank you.
Call me in the morning. Anyone else, Keith? We're good. All right, seeing that. Board reports. Any board reports?
George Morris, Chair of the Drainage Board. We didn't have a meeting last month, so I don't have anything to report.
Okay,
So,
I'll
hence
take it.
the reason for no report.
Thank you.
I would say on behalf of the schools, the advisory board, just to give everyone the heads up that the Mr. and Ms. Southwest Ranches pageant is going to be on January 3rd, so keep that in mind in your plans. And also the Seek Run, in combination with the town, is scheduled for February. The 5K walk run is scheduled for February 29th. So more information will come, but just to kind of keep that in the back of your heads. Thanks. 23rd. And then we also have the food trucks at Hawks Bluff on August 23rd. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, I
guess if we give a report when we don't have a report, I got to give a report when we do have a report. So, all right. So, yeah, I got to keep up with the Joneses. So, anyhow, the comp board did meet. We had a good meeting. I think it was good. It was focused. I am very hopeful that we will have one more meeting, and at the end of that meeting, we will be able to forward to the council a new ordinance for you to consider. So it was a good meeting. We got a couple of tweaks need to make. I think there's maybe one or two more items that we need to hash out, and then we're good. Thank you.
Any additional?
Okay, Parks Board. We are working on a fence out west, but it's on your agenda. And the other thing is that we did clean up the other park on Dykes Road, Meadow Sanctuary, and we had a lot of debris that we took out of there, old fences that were there, barbed wire fences that were up in different areas. Also, a sign that was down forever, and old gates. So it was quite an effort on the part of a volunteer and his piece of equipment. Doug was kind of there to supervise, I think. The worker is right here behind me. And he spent about a week over there taking everything up, and it was wet, and it left some obstacles for them because it was so wet. That area is very wet. It will be drained when we hook up to Calusa Corners, but for now it's wet, and when it rains it holds the water. So that kind of gives you a quick synopsis of what's going on. Hopefully we'll get the fence up, and Country Estates, I keep calling it Fishing Hole, in Fishing Hole Estates or Country Estates, and everything else is quiet for now.
Okay. No additional? Good. All right. Council member comments.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Gary.
Thank you, Mayor. As usual, thank you everybody for coming. Just a few announcements I want to go over. Don't really have anything specific, but I just want to do my part to keep everybody informed. We've got our 7th annual photo contest going on right now. Our photos are due in by the 15th of August here at Town Hall. The rules for the photo contest are on the website in terms of what sizing and how many pixels, pixel count, etc. on the digital print. We have something brand new coming our way, and maybe Andy can touch on it a little bit. Maybe he can. I'm not 100%. But on the 8th of this month, we have Senator Rubio's office coming here to extend any services that anybody needs from his office, and I think that has to deal with Medicare, immigration, State Department stuff, whatever is going on the federal level. They're going to have aides here. This is something brand new, and it's just recently been announced. So I just want to mention that. That's on the 8th at 10 a.m. here at Town Hall. The week of the 19th, we've got a lot going on. In August, we've got the 20th is the budget workshop. It's a Tuesday, 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. Then we have the council meeting on Thursday and the Flowmobile right before it. And if anybody needs anything driver's license-wise, car registration, that's the place to do it at if you can make it. If you can make it. The 23rd, Friday night, we have the food truck event that Debbie Green mentioned earlier. It benefits the scholarship fund in Hawks Bluff. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of kids. It's at the Equestrian Park, and it's a lot of fun. And that's from 5 to 9. And then Saturday we have bingo at the barn with dinner starting at 6, and then bingo at 7, put on by the Parks Foundation. Tickets are available here and from Parks Board members. And then our next hazardous hazmat at the barn is in September. It'll be the 14th, and I can't believe we're already talking about September, but we are. So Having said all that, that's basically all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Awesome. Dee, you want?
I just have one thing, and that's information that all of us got up here. Southwest Ranches is partnering up with Broward County shelters. If I can just read this to you. Each year, Broward County shelters takes in thousands of strays and abandoned cats and dogs. While these shelters work hard to get them adopted or fostered, many of them never get further home. Sadly, some of them are ultimately humanely euthanized. So here at Town Hall, I believe it's October 5th, they're going to be here. And this event will take place from 11 to 2, right here at Town Hall. And perhaps you want to come by and adopt a pet. Debbie, you know you need another cat. Come on. You just need another cat. Come on, come on. They're going to be really cute.
What's one more?
What's one more? That's right. What's one more? So, if you need any more information, call Town Hall. You can speak to either Russell or Yvette. I'm sure they can give you the information. Or I don't know if we have these flyers printed up for people to look at. But I personally am kind of excited about that because the old ones need homes and lots of love and care, and you know, the little ones go fast. I mean, everybody wants a little one, but the old ones are ones that people might not like, and they do have a variety. They do bring some older ones. And I found the last time I went to one of these things with Broward County, they had a lot of greyhound dogs, believe it or not. I was shocked because those dogs usually belong to a club and they're fostered out or adopted through the club. But the Broward County Animal Care actually had these greyhounds. So that's something I think you should look forward to. October 5th, come with a couple bucks in your pocket. They will be neutered and spayed and all that good stuff for you, and you don't have to worry about it. You just got to give them a little love, a little food, and a little water. Thank you.
Bob?
Just a quick comment. I know a lot of you know Bob Parker. Bob had pretty major surgery done last week. Won't go into the details, but he had complications as well. For those who know Bob, he's strong-willed. He didn't want to follow the doctor's orders, so it caught up with him, so he had some complications. So his new nickname is Dr. Bob, since he knows more than the doctors do. But keep him in your thoughts and prayers because he's not out of the woods on it yet. Bob's 85, and they did this surgery on him because he's very healthy right now, but he needed the work done. So, you know, he's a strong guy, but he can use all the help he can get. No, he's still in the hospital. So that's all I have, Doug. Thank you.
All right. Freddie, anything? You good? All right. I'm pretty good, so. I just want to thank everybody for coming out and participating. We appreciate the participation. And remember, we're here twice a month normally, so if you want to come address issues, yell at us, scream at us, complain to us, you're welcome to do so.
Stop encouraging Newell.
All right. Legal comments.
Just be quick. Today was the town's Flow Mobile, which is the state of Florida DMV that comes here.
Change your driver's license, I hope.
My driver's license was changed a while ago, but the only reason I even bring this up because it's a wonderful, wonderful service that the town offers, and hopefully people take advantage of it. Starting at the end of this year, if your driver's license does not have a yellow star in the right-hand corner, you can no longer use it as a form of a federal ID, meaning that if you're at the airport, you cannot get through TSA. So you have a few more months to use this service and to get your yellow star. I got my yellow star today. It was like $35, and it took a few minutes, but we got in and out, and everyone was very nice. So just take a look for your yellow star, and if you don't have it, get it before the end of December, so you have a few more months to come here.
Any
That's
court
it.
stuff? Any court stuff coming up?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Andy, you're up.
Actually, Mayor, I don't have anything, but I was going to put Russell on the spot. because the vice mayor had brought up Senator Rubio's office, and Russell has been coordinating that with them. So while I think I can speak to it, I think he'll do a better job than I do. So if you don't mind, Russell.
We were contacted by Senator Rubio's office asking if we would participate in some outreach effort with them. They wanted to expand their footprint, or their presence, I should say, in Broward County. And we had our preliminary outreach event. Unfortunately, there was not any takers for that event, but we think that's a combination of it's a new program and also lack of promotion. So we went out and kind of started, promoting it on social media and what you have today. We appreciate that you're promoting it. Gina Alonso from Senator Rubio's office will be out here with her staff, as the vice mayor indicated, August 8th, prior to the day of the council meeting, so Thursday, August 8th, from 10 o'clock. They can assist with any federal issues that you may have, any questions that you have with the federal government, whether it relates to immigration, VA issues, Social Security, things like that. There's a myriad of topics that they can help you with, and even just general constituency questions they would be more than happy to assist with. So if you have any issues that you would like some assistance from Senator Rubio's office, we encourage you to come out to that next outreach event on August 8th. Thank you.
He's going to join in.
No, I'm going to just say I looked it up just so I was curious. The law that the Congress passed is called the Real ID Act. That's actually what they named it, and it goes into effect 2020. So there's argument about the exact date it goes into effect, but it's 2020 for certain.
Okay. All right. We're good. So number 8, Russell.
Yes, Mayor, this is a resolution coming back to you from the meeting on June 27th. As you recall, it was tabled to this meeting. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a purchase order in the amount of $10,550 with Dykes Custom Barns and Fencing to remove and replace the existing fence at the Country Estates Fishing Hole Park, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into a purchase order, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2018-19 budget for the Country Estates Park Perimeter Fencing Improvement Project, and providing an effective date.
I'll make a motion to put this back on the table.
Second.
Okay. Andy, you want to bring
Yeah,
something
Mayor,
to
I have
speak?
actually, as you all know, staff has been working on this, and I put together a very brief PowerPoint, which Russell, if you'd call up that PowerPoint. Just wanted to go through some options with you all. As Russell's bringing that up, what we're talking about here, all options include the frontage along Griffin Road, not the sides of the park, but the part of Country Estates Park that fronts Griffin Road. It's about 600 running feet there. So we looked at several different options. Now, if you could get to option 1. All right, I'll start while he's bringing that up, because I know you all have it in front of you, and the public doesn't have the benefit of that, and I apologize, but I'll tell you, there we go.
Okay.
Option 1 is the item as it was presented to you a month ago. It was procured in accordance with the town's codes. It was for 5 feet tall, black vinyl, 9-gauge wire and commercial hardware along Griffin Road.
Here's a new one.
The price, as quoted, was $10,500, which included the removal of the old fence, the installation of the new fence. Option 2 was brought up by the mayor, who suggested the town owns some existing fence, which is referenced there in the first bullet point, and that would allow us to do approximately 1/2 of the Griffin Road frontage. So remove that fencing and by volunteers and replace that western portion of the fence with what we have. That's galvanized fencing. It's not vinyl coated, but the additional cost, because the town owns that fencing, would certainly be minimal. However, we heard your concerns. You wanted the black vinyl fencing. You all wanted to see the entire 600 feet replaced. We wanted to stay with a volunteer project. So we've been working on this. First of all, special thanks to Jim Lasky, who assisted with some of the pricing when we were short-staffed last week, and for Gay Chapels, who worked on this as well. But option 3, which I think meets the requirements of what the council would look for, would replace all 620 feet with the vinyl coated fence, 6 feet, not 5 feet, which had originally been proposed. We've got the cost on the new fencing there. It does not include the labor to remove the existing fence and the disposal cost, but that'll remain as a volunteer project. The cost here are not to exceed, the NTE would be not to exceed. We would go through, if council wants to do this, we'll go through our proper procurement. But thanks to Jim, we've established at least a ceiling. If we can do a little bit better, we will. But we've got a price out there that I can give you for your consideration. And then Gay spoke to Josh Dykes today to get a price from Josh on just installing the fence, not removing the old fence and disposing of that. And the price that he gave us was $56.50. So if we combine that with buying the new fence, we're at $93.50. The price that was option one that had been on your agenda previously was a 5 foot tall fence for $10,500. We're now at a 6 foot tall fence for $1,200 less. So I think option three as presented to you here, I think meets with the council's requirements and some of the things that you've all expressed. You wanted to save more money, you wanted a volunteer project, you wanted it professionally installed. So just really based on those options, Mayor, I throw it to the council for deliberation and any questions you might have.
Awesome. Any public comment on this matter?
Shouldn't we make a motion to adopt option three as?
We can do that. Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
Just did.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Now it's your turn.
We just wanted to get it on
Just
the table.
Mayor,
We were looking at. Yes.
Mayor, just as a point of order,
Sure.
Keith, this is really for you. We had a motion and a second on the table on this item, and now we have a secondary motion on option three. So I just want to make sure we're clean as we're moving forward.
We have a motion and a
Two
second
motions
on
on the
the,
table.
on the,
I heard the first motion was a motion to move it off the table. Okay, and that one had a second. I think Councilmember Hartman did that one. There was what was the second motion?
the third
To
option.
approve
To approve.
option
Option
three.
three.
So the discussion is on the approval of option three.
Correct.
Okay, good, thank you.
Well, there's a couple more questions I think we need to address. First of all, do we want this fence to be compliant with the Broward County Code? You know, we also, according to the code, we have to involve some type of an engineer or a architect on this thing, because we got to do some kind of analysis about the wind load. I heard or saw on one of the proposals a 2-inch mesh. That's a security fence. I mean, if you're worried about people putting stuff back and forth in a fence, in a prison, okay, but it's going to add to your wind load. The Dykes proposal doesn't call out the type of posts. So if you start putting all this mesh on there and you don't have heavier posts, there's different gauge posts. My material that I supplied you with was based on Schedule 40, which is pretty heavy stuff, which is probably what you got there now. And it still didn't hold up. It's bent in a lot of places. And in some places where probably a boulder rolled off a dump truck or something, that's where you really got the horrific impact and it blew right through the fence. But, you know, what do you want it to do? 5 foot? You know, you hear about people getting robbed.
We're not talking about 5 foot at all, so.
No, but there was in the proposal. and
previously.
I'm going, what the heck are we talking about here? Because somebody could go right over that fence. Two guys come down in a car. They see people by themselves at that play area. They're blindsided. The guy jumps out of the car, pole vaults over that fence. I used to be able to
All
do
right,
that.
let's move on with
But
the
anyway,
discussion.
so $6.50 a lineal foot is what I heard from one fencing contractor today that was leaving for vacation. So I'm sure $6.50 would be a reasonable labor rate to install the material you've already bought. The question is, how far do you want to go with the specifications on that? There is specifications on the coatings and everything else involved there. I would throw that into the mix. The Dykes one, the guy's been a fence contractor for a year according to the corporate records. This is chain link. This is not barbed wire fence for cattle. So what do you want to do? More direction on that, and we could get better with the pricing. But to me, you're already within the budget. So, thank
Steve Brightcrease, President of Country Estates. So I appreciate the effort on this. I have some concerns about it. It appears that we are using the same posts that are there
No,
today, or we're taking down those.
all new.
Yep.
It'll be all new.
Okay. And who's putting up the posts?
Josh Dyke,
Okay. All right. So
based on what the proposal he got this afternoon.
So the really the issue that I have with it more than anything else is that the entrance to this park is not on Griffin Road. It's on 190th. And this does not cover that road. It does not cover that entrance. So going into this park, you're still going to be seeing that same thing that you're seeing now. So I appreciate that we're going in the right direction. But I don't want anybody up there to think that the job is done or that this accomplishes what we need done. This is a nice first step, but there is still a lot of barbed wire around the rest of it. There is still going to be an entranceway that looks like it's 25 years old. There is still a lot of work to be done. Thanks.
I agree with you, and we got ball fields to fix.
I'm supportive of this option 3, and I agree with Steve, but what the Parks Board is, we didn't have a meeting this month, but next month, we are going to look into the same type of system that we use to get that beautiful entranceway at the Equestrian Park. I remember what we did, but I'm not familiar with it. We put it out for artists to give renderings, and then we picked the one that fit. And we can do something of that nature, but definitely we're looking into a different type of entranceway on 190th, plus some sort of railing, fencing of that nature to go down there. They may need wire on the railing, so we don't know at this point. We're discussing it. We're certainly not quitting once we get the fence up on your main road, which is Griffin. It's very dangerous. And so once we get that with the play field and everything there, we get that up, then we can work on 190th. And remember, if we don't have enough funding, we also have the Astronaut Foundation who will help. So, no, we're not done. We want to do a good fencing all the way around that park. And we really have 190th to deal with. Thank you.
Any additional public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Back to us.
Oh.
Bob? Steve?
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Steve's comments on the entranceway. I was over there last night again. I just wanted to make sure I had a good look before we were going to talk about it tonight. And I agree, it needs to be replaced. I mean, I'm not a big fan of chain link to begin with. We have an ordinance, not an ordinance. We have a deed restriction on my street. You're not even supposed to use chain link. So I'm all for every other kind of fence, but I realize that's what we have. I was just talking to Andy. The left fence, as you're coming up to the gate, has the top rail is all twisted up. Looks like people were climbing over it. I'm not sure how it got messed up the way it is. Maybe we want to replace a couple of pieces of top rail until Mary Gay's plan of redoing the entranceway to be, you know, more like the Equestrian Park comes to fruition, because the fence is damaged. The top rail is damaged. You know, a couple of pieces of top rail would probably go a long way to making it look a little better rather than it being all bent up. But I totally support revitalizing that whole entranceway. There are a couple things about it that don't look good, but we've got
Bob,
a plan for that.
Let me jump in. Why don't we just replace all the way down to the gate? Past the gate. I mean, we're mobilizing everything out there.
That fence is shorter.
Yeah, I know, it's shorter. That's why I'm saying it shouldn't be,
Well, how far do we want to go? Because the gates
I'd
are,
say past the gate. you
yeah,
know.
the gates are intact. Do we want to paint those and just go over them with new fence fabric with a new top rail? How far do we want to go?
I would say
Because-
just past it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, are new gates in scope, or do we leave them and paint them? Because the gates aren't cheap. Gates are
Nope.
gonna be expensive, so. But how
Yeah.
far,
What, I guess my thought is, why don't we just get this part done and come back and readdress the next part? I think that with volunteers, you're gonna be amazed with how much we can get done. That top barbed wire all the way down 190th, we can do that.
Yeah,
Not a big
there's,
deal.
it definitely has to be done. I mean, that's a
So,
no-brainer,
but let's get this moving. I mean,
we
this has
get
been
this section
sitting
done.
around for a while.
3 years,
And
right?
we're in a mode to get it done, and now we're talking about expansion of what we're trying to do from original. So I don't see it going anywhere if we do that.
It was brought to my attention
Are
that
you saying don't do that?
people
No, if we come
traveling
back to
from the west
addressing
to the
that,
east,
let's finish what we're doing.
clipping
with this
along at
part.
their
You're
60,
expanding
80
on
miles
that
an
and
hour.
Make that part another project.
He's got the floor.
Sorry.
If they're clipping along at 60, 80 miles an hour, which they do, maybe you want to even consider talking to see if we can get some kind of a grant to put guardrail. Because if they go through that fence, that's it. And a chain link fence is not
Mayhem.
going to stop them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just something that we can check in down the road and see if we can get some kind of a guardrail right there because the kids play right there. So it seems like that might be a good thing. That's all I got to say.
Go ahead, Gary.
Well, using the numbers that we've got, we're looking at, what, another 300 feet? We're talking about another 4,000,
Yeah,
maybe
but they're
5,000.
coming up with a design, so why not wait and hit that down the road and wait and see what they come up with.
All right. I'm not saying slow down on what we're talking about. I'm not even insinuating that. I'm just saying just keep going. You know, with it.
Listen, I don't have
What
a
it
problem
is,
with us
phase
looking
one,
down the
phase
road
two.
and what we're gonna do, but I say get this project done and out of the way and come back and talk about it.
Gary, you wanna formalize your idea with a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we do a phase one and a phase two, and phase two immediately begins after phase one, and it has a, goes beyond the
Go ahead,
gates.
Jay.
Okay. I made a
got
motion,
something to
guys.
say.
Is it going anywhere?
Would you give
A second,
the
I guess
parks
it dies.
a chance?
I think the mic's dead.
Pull that mic.
Hello? I just want you to give the Parks Board a chance to do something creative on 190th. So can we just do Griffin Road and give us a month? And we'll come back in a month and give you a proposal of some sort, rather than do chain link in the front and chain link down the side. I think that you need a little character for the 190th Street entrance. So if we do Griffin Road first, we've put safety ahead of everything else, because there are holes in it. It is not attractive. And give us a month to come back with some suggestions, and we'll put it before you, and then you can kick it around and decide what you want to do. And if we can do a contest or something for an entranceway, it gives the town a chance to get creative, or we may put it out like we did the one at the Equestrian Park, and an artist came in and it was a grant. So, just give us a little time here.
So is a month realistic if you wanna have a contest or bring in artists or?
It's realistic enough for us to come back to you and say, this is what we want to do. We're going to put railing up, and we're going to put a creative entranceway on 190th. It's not a thoroughfare there.
Right.
It's like the other parks. But if you guys decide now you want to do phase one, phase two, put up the wire, why would we bother?
That's true.
I'm just asking
That's
for
true.
a month.
I'd give them time to mull it over and see what kind of ideas they come up with. We can still do it if we choose to just continue it.
So we got a motion and a second on phase three. Call the question.
Wait a minute, didn't Gary, you made a motion,
Nobody
but
got a second.
You didn't get a second.
Correct.
You wanna change your motion?
I change it to come right up to the gates, the part that's got to be fixed and all that, to continue on. Continue around the corner and go down to the gates.
No,
I modify my motion to that.
it's the same thing. And why would you just leave that low?
Okay, can I just interject, because Marty's saying something to me, and then Councilmember Jablonski was saying something, Vice Mayor, excuse me. Marty said in any motion, just please make sure that the motion states that the budget amendment's accepted as in currently in the resolution. Correct, Marty?
Correct amount.
So we'll delineate that, but that's from a legal standpoint, he has to be in there. What Vice Mayor Jablonski is suggesting is he wanted a motion to approve option 3, but continuing option 3 up to the entrance gates, stop at the entrance gates for the committee to come back to with what decorative feature they want there, and then the majority of the park is finished except for the entrance feature.
No, he's not talking about that.
Why wouldn't you
not
just
talking
go
about
to
that. I'm
the
just
corner?
talking-
and
That's not what
stop?
he's talking about.
No.
I'm talking just past the gate.
Listen, me personally, I'd like to see us get what we're trying to do done,
Am I correct?
see what it looks like, and come back and see what we want to do with the rest of it. I
Right.
mean,
Okay.
we'll measure the footage and get another estimate on the chain link fence to what you want to go to after that.
Right.
You know, if it's reasonable, we'll jump on and do it with volunteers. I don't have a problem with that. But let's get this front main run done and see how happy we are with it and go out there and look at it and say, okay, can we continue around the corner another 150 feet, 100 feet? Whatever it is.
It's 154 feet from the corner post back to where the gates start cutting in, the straight piece.
All right, is my motion have a second, or did it die?
Died.
Hold on. I'm not sure if we're there yet.
It didn't have
He
a
wants
second.
to continue it all the way to the gate.
All the way to the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go the 154, although administration here is saying he'd rather wait and do the whole thing at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. I'd rather see that.
Yeah, I know it's up to the council, but I'm just providing your feedback.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Call the question, please.
Okay,
This is
again, the motion on the table.
Didn't get a second.
No,
Oh,
no,
you're
no,
going to
no.
go over the initial motion.
The one that's left is motions on the table to approve option 3 with the budget amendment that was stated in the resolution that's drafted before the council. So that's the current motion on the table.
As a counselor, as revised to the 9350,
Right.
that'll be sufficient.
Second?
We already have a motion, a second. Okay, so we're just doing we're calling the question.
Call the
Just
question.
clarifying it from
Okay.
an auditor standpoint.
Okay. Councilmember Hartman,
yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiscal,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. All right. Number 9, please.
Number 9 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, setting the proposed millage rate and current rollback rate pursuant to Section 200.065 Florida statutes and establishing the date, time, and place at which public hearings will be held to consider the proposed millage rate and the tentative budget for fiscal year 2020, and directing the town clerk to file said resolution with the property appraiser of Broward County pursuant to the requirements of Florida statutes and the rules and regulations of the Department of Revenue for the state of Florida. Directing that a certified copy of this resolution be sent to the Broward County property appraiser and tax collector and providing an effective date.
We want to give a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Mayor?
Yes.
Obviously, yeah, as you all know, Marty's chomping at the bit to do his annual presentation. He's got his PowerPoint ready.
Okay.
His PowerPoint will roll through the millage, the fire assessment, and the solid waste. He'll cover all 3 of these in one presentation, but then we'll be able to come back to the council and public comment, council comment.
Okay.
We'll chew them over one at a time. But
Okay.
I did want to say one thing. Marty refers to this year's budget as a unicorn budget. And what we have before you tonight, what we're presenting to you tonight, is something that none of us who have been doing this for a long time have ever brought forward anywhere we've ever worked. We're bringing forward to you a reduction in millage rate, a reduction in the fire assessment, and a reduction in the solid waste fee. You could take a vacation, go to Scotland, you got a better chance of seeing the Loch Ness Monster than you do of ever seeing something like this again.
How about next year?
Next year will be next year, but this is, I want you to realize just how rare this is. And, we've worked hard on this. We've heard, the input from council. We understand your priorities. We've gotten input from the public. But I do want to turn it over to Marty to let him go through his presentation. But this is quite an alignment of the stars that we have here.
Marty, you're up to bat.
Thank you, Andy, Town Administrator. Good evening, general public. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. We're covering agenda items 9, 10, and 11. Just for those that would like their own copy of PowerPoint, we have extra copies in the back on the table. We have few copies up here. We have our proposed budget sample. It's a glorious 188 pages in the back desk for your use if you'd like to follow or have any questions tonight. We have a copy up here as well. And for those on videotape in the audience, you will find the book on the website, as well as we will have the book in the front desk for anybody's use. And this PowerPoint, as presented, will be on the website tomorrow. These agenda items is 9, 10, and 11. So with that in mind, if we can get to the items reread for number 10 and 11 later. We have Rich Strum here tonight. Thank you, Controller, to lead the PowerPoint. We're going to go into the process, as Andy has mentioned. He calls it a unicorn. I call it a trifecta because we have decreases across the board. Three decreases. Decreases in millage rate, decreases in the fire assessments, and decreases in the solid waste assessments. Before we go into the details, I want to cover the budget process, our calendar events. Tonight is our prelim millage and initial fire solid waste assessment adoptions. These are all our stated not to exceed rates. We will have time to discuss this further during our August 20th proposed budget workshop that was also advertised in the newsletter. That will start at 7 p.m. as Vice Mayor has indicated on August 20th. Then we move into September with our first public hearing for the tentative millage and budget adoption, as well as the final fire protection and solid waste special assessment adoption. We then advertise late September, and we get to our final second public hearing for the millage and budget adoption on Thursday, September 26, 2019, and that will start at 6 p.m. Right before the regular council meeting. All right, our next slide is our summary. Our summary of proposed fiscal year in 2019-20 proposed rates and fees compared to our fiscal year 18 and 19. Rich, if you could show to the left side, those are our current rates. Maybe you wanted to use your pointer if possible. The left side is our present adopted rate. I won't reiterate those word for word, but our proposed rates on the right side. You will see a lot of red. Red is good because red represents decreases. Our combined total millage rate has a net decrease of 0.1747 to the rollback rate. Now, the rollback rate, in accordance with Florida statute, is the same rate of millage that will equal the revenues that the town will receive as it does in the current year. So, in effect, it means for Florida statutes, no change in tax revenue from the town. Our fire assessment, we are proposing a $20.14 decrease, and this would represent an approximate 3.7% decrease per residential dwelling unit as compared to the prior year. Our solid waste has a $21.77 decrease or greater, and the overall average on the solid waste portion is a 5.4% decrease throughout all residential parcel lot sizes within the town. On my next slide gives an example of the calculation of our ad valorem property tax as an introduction. Market value is, we all know, is what someone would be willing to pay to purchase a property. However, the assessed valuation is the valuation that's set by the Broward County Property Appraiser's Office and is an estimate of what the market value may be. So we have the assessed valuation, that's all BCPA derived, Broward County Property Appraiser. You have your exemptions, multiple exemptions available. We hope everyone takes advantage of their exemptions. Derives our taxable value. The taxable value, then you times by the taxable rate. And the taxable rate is what we're discussing tonight as our millage rate and equals your tax levy. Now, my next two slides will discuss of how we're able to propose a decrease in millage for this year. Number one is our current economic environment supports a higher conservatively forecast fiscal year 2020 operating revenues. Buildings booming, permitting and zoning is doing well as our state revenue sharing throughout the entire state. We've had wonderful, number two, wonderful growth in net new taxable value of almost 25 million. And that represents 1.64% of our 5.39% in total townwide growth. Townwide growth includes not only new, but also existing homeowner improvements. We're having a significant reduction in excess of $216,000 in legal departmental budget expenses, with the prior year unused litigation provision being retained within the general fund unassigned fund balance. We've encountered lower debt interest expense due to last year's Federal Reserve Bank lowering of interest rates, as well as an overall lower outstanding principal balance. Next page, number 5. There is no material impact to the general fund that we were hit from the prior year as it relates to our Florida statute 170.01, which granted a 100% fire assessment exemption to all vacant agricultural land in prior year. So obviously, you get slammed one year, there's very little impact moving forward. Number 6 is the impact from our quality of life and service level of service, improvements. The millage funded program mods are less in number and dollar scope. Along with number 7, the same for our capital improvement projects. Millage funded CIPs are also less in number and dollar scope. And then number 8, finally, the Transportation Fund annual operating deficit is 60% funded through its available restricted fund balance, which has no trim or millage impact. Moving to our program modifications, the ones that are funded, these have been discussed with all advisory boards, with staff. I want to thank staff, advisory boards, councils with your one-on-one. We have our town hall improved security, $6,000, our council chambers camera, $10,000, our IT replacement program, a continuance of that program. These are all millage impact items that require the millage as proposed. That IT replacement program for next year as proposed is $10,500. Our 20th anniversary celebration, $15,000. Our town hall exterior repainting in conjunction with our CIP, which is primarily grant funded. We're lucky for that through FEMA grant program. $17,000. The website redesign and ADA compliance, $17,500, and our newly put in place townwide vehicle replacement program, $17,500. Our other program mods that are funded, which have no millage impact and only impact the fire assessment, but just for your reiteration, there's fire assessment will, as proposed, will have a decrease even with these funded program mods. We have our bunker gear replacement program, our SCBA mass fit certification equipment, and our fire apparatus replacement program moving forward. The capital improvement projects that are funded include our recurring fire wells replacement and installation that has no millage impact. The further progress, Frontier Trails Conservation Area, our Town Hall Complex safety, drainage, and mitigation improvements within Town Hall, primarily grant funded, but does have a small $12,000 millage impact. And finally, our transportation projects. We got our TISDOR, our drainage improvements as funded, and just a reminder to everyone that the TISDOR expenses require funding separate from the regular operating millage. Going into the details of our TISDOR, our CIP cost that's funded with the .4439 as represented on our start cover page is $624,267. We have a carryover from the prior year, that's the current year, that will be utilized in next year's budget. So next year's CIP in total is funded with a little over $1,101,000. As a summary recap on our millage, this can also be found on page 11 of our proposed budget book as a comparison. That is bold up front of our fiscal year 2019-2020 proposed rate at a 4.6564, representing the 4.2125 of regular operating plus the TISDOR of .4439, and that is considered 4.6564 is our current year rollback rate. Now off to the right, you will see a 0 with a little asterisk. Now, it's important to point out to all members in the audience tonight and those that are going to review it at home on video is that if you did not have a change in net taxable value, you will receive a real cash reduction of 3.75% in your town of Southwest portion of your tax bill. And how you get that is you just take your taxable value from last year, you times it by the current year proposed rate of 4.6564. Of course, compared subtraction from the 4.8311, and if you were fortunate to have no change in taxable value, you will benefit in the range of 3.75% from year to year in tax savings to the town of Southwest Ranches. Our combined rate impacts, as a recap summary, our operating millage gives you more detail. The fact that the 4.2125 has a 0.2844 millage decrease and a $173 decrease per 250,000. The TISDOR, which is funded at 624,267, that's the current year portion, represents a 0.1097 increase, which is a $173 increase net effect. So the net effect, when you include both, combined with the operating millage, results in a 0 net change per 250,000 of taxable value and a net decrease in millage of 0.7147, which equals our rollback rate. Our residential fire rates, the proposed rate, as mentioned previously, the $20.14 cent decrease per residential dwelling unit, and our solid waste rates reflect a decrease in all residential categories, averaging 5.4%, or $21.77 to $68.63, depending on your parcel lot size square footage. All right, we're moving away for now from the millage onto our fire assessment. This assessment is permitted by our Florida statute, chapter 166.021 and 166.041, and is adopted originally by our town ordinance 2001-09. Ordinance 2001-09 requires us that the annual rate be established each year. We have, as a reminder, we have 11 homestead properties owned by total and permanent service-connected disabled U.S. veterans that are proposed to be exempted tonight to town council as in the past years. And the town impact resulting from adopting this 100% tax exemption is $5,759, which is absorbed within the general fund. And our initial resolution is needed tonight for the assessment to comply with Florida statutes and the trim notices as distributed by the Broward County property appraisers during August. Our recap summary, we gave you a 4-year history and proposed fiscal year 20. Won't cover all the years, just look to the far right. Of course, you will see all the lines have a trend down from the previous year because we have proposed rate increases for residential. First slide is our residential decrease, the vacant and agricultural decrease. The next slide has our 3 other categories comprising our industrial warehouse, our commercial, our institutional. You will see decreases and trend lines downward for each category. Our fire assessment impacts, again, this is now, instead of concentrating only on the residential, I gave each component decrease per dwelling unit, per acreage, per square footage building area, all the way down to commercial, which here, depending on the component, has different impacts. They all reflect a decrease in proposed fire assessment rates. Now, moving to solid waste. Our garbage assessment, permitted by Florida statute, chapters 197.3632. Again, our annual rate established is required by Town Ordinance 2002-08. There are, the only residential partners proposed to be 50% exempted to Town Council tonight are 11 homesteaded properties, the same ones as it relates to the fire assessment, that are qualified total and permanent service-connected disabled U.S. veterans. The town impact resulting from this 50% tax exemption is $3,262, and that will be absorbed within the general fund. We need a resolution tonight for the compliance with Florida statutes and the trim notices that will be distributed to BCPA during August. Our matrix for our proposed solid waste rates of 1920 versus 1819. You will see on the far right, it's bold and highlighted, and the decrease reflected by categories and lot sizes, as previously mentioned, anywhere from $21.77 per year to $68.63, depending on your parcel lot size. The explanation is we proudly propose a decrease in all residential categories, averaging 5.4%. And this was able to occur due to successful management and legal negotiations obtaining a permanently reduced bulk disposal maximum generation factor from 4.67 under our original contract to 3.73 tons per unit per year. And that decrease was partially offset by the annual collection element contract adjustment, and it will reflect the town council policy of full cost recovery with no rate subsidy. Finally, I went back, staff went back, we looked back at the proposed 2020 rate for all ranges as compared to our fiscal year 2012 rate. And I was shocked, but this is a matter of fact. The overall average over an 8-year period is only an 8% increase from 2012 to 2020. So we've only ultimately, through multiple reasons, primarily legal and contract negotiation, we've only had a 1% increase annually per year over the past 8 years, which is something to be proud and thrilled. So in conclusion, it is your town administrator and town financial administrator's recommendation that the Town Council of Southwest Ranches unanimously adopt the resolution presented tonight, setting the rate max, which provide for decreasing the operating millage, increasing the Tisdale millage to equal a net millage decrease to equal the rollback rate, decreasing our fire assessment rates to property owners, and decreasing solid waste, bulk, and recycling rates. Our last slide is the summary. We'll leave that up while, if I can get the town clerk to read agenda item 10 and 11, then we can move forward and get a second, I suppose.
Yeah, Mayor?
Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever
Mayor,
the pleasure of council is.
If it's okay with you, what Marty's proposing is we just read 10 and 11 into the record, get a motion in a second, then you can consider them independently. I think, is that what you're asking, Marty? You just want to get them all on the table? Okay. It's certainly your discretion, Mayor.
Go ahead and read it.
Or
man.
we
I'm-
could take one and then wait for, either way, Mr. Mayor.
Just for the record, we have a motion and a second already on item 9. We could ask to amend the motion to include 10 and 11, or we could just move on 9.
Why don't we just move on 9 and then we'll add the next two together?
Okay, so there's a motion and a second on item 9.
Any public comment on this matter? Seeing no public comment is closed. Any questions here up front? We're good?
Just a quick comment.
Go ahead.
This is Millage, right?
Yes.
So, along with a lot of people, I've been coming to these budget hearings for 20 years. Pretty close to it. And I remember a lot of years where things were fairly flat, and, everybody was happy. I remember over the last couple of years, we're y'all up here, and the residents were fighting like hell to drop the rates, but the economy didn't help us. This year, the economy's in our favor. I kind of set a goal back in February saying, let's keep it flat. And the reason I set that is y'all drive around town all the time. There's houses going on, there's additions going on, there's a lot of construction going on in our town. My gut said we could probably live within our budget based on the increases we get from, the normal 3% increase, and then as well the additional taxes that are going to come in from new construction and, the work that's being done, all the permits being pulled. I can't thank the administration more for keeping on top of the expenses so that there were no major things bumping up this year. And as well, I thank the economy for giving us the extra money to be able to reduce our taxes. That's the first for our town.
Second.
Yeah.
It's happened once before.
Oh, I don't recall.
Yep.
Across the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
One at a time. If I
So-
could chime in.
Go ahead.
Dee, did you want to go first?
No.
No, okay. I just want to say thank you to Marty and your team. Did an outstanding job as usual, which we've come to expect that, and you deliver every time. And also, I'd like to thank the council too, because none of us up here, I'm speaking for myself, but I'd like to thank the rest of the members of the council, have come up with any crazy, wild ideas that it's going to wreck our funding. We've all kind of stayed within our lanes, for lack of a better way of saying it, budget-wise, and so that that makes stuff like this easier for the residents, and, you know, we need to acknowledge that we did that. That's all.
Good job, Marty. I've got my scissors.
Thank you.
You know
Thank
the
you to
old
staff,
saying,
Staff, advisory boards, and council. Thank you.
he's did a good job. And you know the old saying, good, better, best. Never let it rest till the good is better and the better is best. Well, I think we're almost at the best. Almost. I still have a pair of scissors.
All right,
But
call the
good job.
question.
Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Fiscal.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes,
Motion passes.
go ahead.
I'll
Next.
read item 10 and 11 now.
Yep.
This is the first one is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the preliminary fire services assessment relating to the provision of fire protection services, facilities, and programs in the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, providing purpose and definitions, providing for the imposition and computation of fire protection assessments, incorporating the fire protection assessment report, providing for legislative determination of special benefit and fair apportionment, establishing the rate of assessment, directing the preparation of a preliminary assessment roll, providing for an exemption for veterans service-connected total and permanent disability, authorizing a public hearing and directing the provision of notice thereof, and providing an effective date. Item 11, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, relating to the provision of solid waste services, facilities, and programs to residential properties in the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, providing authority for solid waste services, assessments, providing purpose and definitions, providing findings, incorporating the solid waste special assessment methodology report, directing the preparation of an assessment roll, providing for an exemption for veteran service-connected total and permanent disability, authorizing a public hearing and directing the provision of notice thereof, and providing an effective date.
Make a motion to adopt both.
Second.
Okay. Any public comment on this matter? Seeing no public comment is closed. Back to us. Any other questions or issues? Oh, is he? I'm sorry. Dave, come on up.
Good evening, Dave Sears, 5000 Southwest 201 Terrace. Great job, Marty. Andy, I know you had a hand in it, so good job. You too, Russell and council. One thing you guys need to think about with your fire assessment is, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the fire station, but if you spend more than an hour there, the walls start closing in on you. And these guys bust their butts for our town, and they go above and beyond in a lot of ways. And if we don't start putting money away to have a permanent structure there, shame on us.
We're working on it. Any additional public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Back to us. Any additional questions? Go ahead, Bob.
I'm not going to repeat all the same nice things about the administration and the great job they did, but I have a question for you, Marty. Could you flip back to the slide with the fire assessment on it and the reduction in tonnage? I think you had it set up as. So you just passed it.
Waste, solid waste.
Tongue and solid waste?
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I said fire. I meant solid waste.
Say we don't measure it that way.
So right here, we're talking about the tonnage going from 4.6 tons roughly to 3.7 tons per year per unit. Do we have an understanding as to what caused the reduction in bulk? You know, what people are putting out? Is this related to the last year it was higher because of the hurricanes and it took a while for everybody to get everything out? Is this a short-term blip? Do we think we're going to go back to 4? I'm just worried when I see a reduction in the amount of bulk that goes out because I seem to be putting more out, but that's just me.
Council member, it was negotiate combined residential and commercial factor components. So they were give and take back and forth, and the accuracy, we've been able to get excellent accurate tonnage for us to be able to negotiate and bargain. So our detailed tracking with our new vendor, who's been very accommodating and timely with their reporting, along with legal negotiating, wrapping around our commercial and residential components together. We were able to benefit the residential.
So this is as a result of nothing in the marketplace. This is as a result of excellent negotiations.
Yes, the dollar impact from 4.67 to 3.73 is almost $100,000 annual difference, and that's practically what we're passing through. There were gas escalators, gas tax escalator, and CPI escalator that eroded about 10,000 of the 100,000. So we still had a net decrease that we're able to pass through to users, and this is a permanent reduction throughout the life of this contract.
Excellent. Thank you. Great job.
Call the question.
Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Fiscal.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion is passed. Next item, Mayor.
12.
Okay, item 12 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, authorizing the purchase of a fire station alerting system from Keylight Power and Lighting Corporation in the amount of $83,024.17 and providing for an effective date.
Andy, you want to speak on this at all or no?
Yeah, Mayor, this is not optional. This is a mandate from the county with the new communication system. This is the notification system that goes into the fire station as part of the 911 system to alert the station that they have a call. This is just keeping up with what we need to keep up with, similar to when we bought the new radios. I know Captain Bach is here for any questions you might have on it, but as I said, this is not optional. This is the vendor. This is the price. It's one of those things that we have to do. It's before,
How long did it
it's
take to
before
get
you
this?
because of the dollar amount, but it has been budgeted. We knew this was coming. It's certainly not a surprise.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Darren, you want to say anything on this?
The only thing is I'd just like to point out that the initial estimate was about $110,000, so we worked with the vendor directly, and we also got some great input from Davie Fire Rescue because they were part of the pilot program to cut the cost down to $83,000 from that $110,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Great job.
Any public comment on this matter? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any other discussion up here on this matter? Seeing none, call the question.
Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Fiscal.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Number 13. This, Andy, you want to jump
Yeah,
on?
Mayor, if I may, you and I had discussed this, and you had requested it be placed on the agenda. Staff is looking for some direction from staff. The Bergeron Group that owns the property out on US 27 within the land use employment center, that the category that the town created, we have never established the list of allowed and prohibited use for that site. They have submitted a lengthy wish list of potential uses for that site. I've shared that with you all privately prior to this. And really, the only thing I don't want to discuss those uses tonight. The direction I was looking for from council is this something that you'd like to schedule for the council to discuss in a workshop environment? Would you like me to schedule it as part of a regular meeting? Would you like it to kick it to potentially the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Board, which has been done in the past? I'm just looking for some direction from the council. So it's just really for you guys to discuss and determine which way you want to head with that.
I'd personally like to see a workshop on it.
I'd like to send it to the Comprehensive Planning Board regardless, to get the residential input on something like that. And we can do a workshop later if we so desire.
The planning board, the comp plan board already looked at this how many years ago?
Well, we looked at it, I believe, about 3 years ago, and we worked on this and the others for almost 2 years. So I would suggest we kick it back with a date certain, because I don't think they need to spend multiple meetings on this. but just for a quick review and bring it back to us with any recommended changes or as is.
Yeah, have them give us their,
Well, ultimately, it
opinion.
comes back to us for that decision, but, I mean, if you all want to do that, I'd like to put a 30-day limitation on it, and I don't care if they meet weekly. So if they want to meet 1, 2, 3, 4 times, they can do that every week in the next 30 days, but I'd like it back to us in 30 days.
Is there some reason for
Yeah.
that time frame?
A variety of different reasons, but one of them would be that Bergeron has no intention to do anything out on US 27 until he has some of this stuff nailed down. He's not going to spend any money, and we're going to get no tax additional revenue
Right.
into the town. And we've been dragging our feet for quite a while on this stuff, here and there. But the fact of the matter is, he's putting stuff in. He's trying to move forward with an overall scope and a larger plan, which Keith sat in on a meeting with and said put together a whole. So he's trying to meet the criteria that we'd already kind of put in play.
We all got copies of this. I don't know if you guys took the time, but I went through 8 pages of it. And some of it is just, it's silly stuff. It's yes, yes, yes. But there are a few things on there that are definitely no's. So I don't know if anybody else took the time, like some of my yeses, and then I had a question mark like, okay, this is acceptable, but will this follow with it or whatever?
Dee, is that the original that has no markups from the comp plan board, or is that the one from the
No,
comp plan
this
board?
is one that I guess Mr.
Bergeron
Bergeron
supplied. Bergeron supplied.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there was some on here that I looked at that it was just no.
So our guiding principle all these years ago, whether it was that property or any of the others, were to minimize the harm on the neighborhoods. I mean, if you think about it, if a property owner would have put a diesel mechanic shop out there, I don't care how clean you try to be, sooner or later it's going to end up in our water. The diesel fuel I'm talking about, the things they spill. I've worked in those kind of places when I was a young guy. It happens. My point is that when the comp plan board went through it, we tried to minimize the impact on the community, both from a pollution standpoint and an impact from noise and lights and all that sort of thing. So that's how we got to where the document is that the comp plan board put together. Now, I wouldn't say dragging our feet, Doug. We worked real hard on that for a long time. If the council never adopted that, that's a different discussion.
Well, here we are, years later.
Yep.
And we need to kind of get it on the fast track and get it rocking. So
Can we open this
I'm
to the
okay.
public?
No, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather, if they want to send it to the comp plan board, I'd just like to put limitation on it.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem. I mean, I think 30 days may be aggressive since they're currently working on the nursery ordinance, maybe 2 months. I don't want to hold up Bergeron either. But I have a question for you. You said you and Keith had met with Bergeron. You want to disclose what was discussed? I mean, we don't know.
I don't think.
I think what the mayor is referring to, and Andy was there as well, was a meeting many, many, many months ago, almost probably over a year ago, dealing with the waste issue. Remember when he had the contract with the town?
Yeah.
We were meeting on waste issues, and he brought up the fact that he wanted to start developing his US 27 properties, but that the town's list was so restrictive that he saw from the comp plan board that there's nothing he could do out there that made financial sense, and as such, he wasn't going to go forward. Andy, please correct me if I'm wrong, because this is really over a year ago. And it's been logged in the date of the meeting and everything. So my response to him at that point is, listen, I have no idea what you want to build or what you're talking about. So why don't you come up with the list of what you would like in your best case scenario, give it to the town, and let them look at it, and they can go through it and cross out things that they say no way, keep things that maybe they missed, or tell you to go fly a kite. But at least it starts with him telling you what he's looking for, rather than us trying to guess. And that's what probably part of the story was. So based upon that meeting, literally, Andy, it must have been 6-7 months later, he emailed Andy his wish list. And that's exactly what it is. It's a wish list. And I assume that's what Councilmember Schroeder is holding.
Yeah.
So what he had asked is for the town to go through the wish list and let him know things that are feasible and things that are not feasible, so that he can get a better idea of development and what tenants he'd be going after for the US 27 properties. Either way, there's nothing wrong setting of the comp plan board. There's nothing, wrong for the council making the decision. What it comes down to is reviewing his list and saying, we agree with some of these, we agree with none of these, and make your decision, so that he can tell you whether or not he's going to move forward on development out there.
I don't think he wanted his hands tied or be restricted, so he just made up a list and put everything except for whatever, but he put everything on here. So he knows at least what he can and what he can't do. I mean, the ones that are no are like you said, and we have EPA, we have all that stuff that checks that stuff and checks the soils and the grounds and the waters and stuff. But like you said, accidents do happen.
Yeah.
And once it's done, it's done.
I'd say one of his big uses that he wanted to do immediately was outdoor storage for landscape nurseries and trucks. Well,
Right.
currently, that's not permissible. So the question is that something that the council would consider
I
being
don't want to go item
permissible?
by item.
No, but I'm just giving an example. So that's why he did this huge list, so that you all can go item by item and say what you'd be okay with and what you wouldn't.
Yeah, and the reason I asked the question about the timing of the meeting is Doug didn't indicate, I'm aware of the meeting you discussed that happened 6-8 months ago. He didn't say when, so I thought this was more
Yeah, nothing
recent.
recent.
So, good. Nothing more recent, according to Andy. Good.
So I guess the thought process was ultimately if we did a workshop, that since we have part of what was already done, that we could get through it and get it done. But if you all want to send it back because they've already gone through what they have previously,
But they should have a
Take
list.
this.
They should already have a
well,
list.
they do have a
for
list.
us.
Andy's
And
actually
to
got it. He's
compare
going to
it
hand it out
this.
to us.
Yep.
I think
Andy's
a
got the
workshop-
list that they'd come up with, and he's going to hand it out to us.
Okay.
But
So given the fact that they have the nursery ordinance that they're trying to wrap up now, why don't we give them 2 months so that they can, a month from now, wrap that up, and then we do
Yeah.
a workshop right after that?
Let's give them 2 months. I mean, I value their input.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I sat on that board. We went through this. We spent a lot of time working through scenarios, so.
They're the ones that are most familiar with the criteria.
well, I don't know. Not the same people are on it anymore, but that's okay. It's a group. But
Okay.
what's anybody else's opinion on 60 days?
I'd say I'm fine with 60 days.
D?
Well, like I said, I already got my list. I've kind of gone over it, and then I'll compare it to what they have. I mean,
Listen, they're just bringing back to us a recommendation of what they want and what they think, and ultimately, we make that
But
call.
then it's going to take longer if we want to do a workshop on it.
Well, we're going to probably end up doing one anyway after
Before?
that. No, not before, after they're done. Because I'm not going to have them do it, send to them, and come back to us or go back to them. It's going to come back to us, and ultimately, if we need a workshop, we'll do one.
Well, how close are they on the
Steve
said
said
60
tonight
days.
he'll be done, they think they'll be done with the nursery ordinance at this coming meeting, and then they can address this at the following meeting. Does that make sense from a timing standpoint, Steve?
And if we.
That's up to the mayor.
And if,
I'm not opening up to the public. Come on, Steve, because you're on the comprehensive plan board and the.
and then Mayor, I'm
Chair.
going to talk about calendar issues, because we may be able to resolve this really easily.
Good, go ahead.
Thank you,
Steve?
Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, I think that, frankly, our discussion on the nursery ordinance, I do think that we can wrap it up this time. I don't even think it'll take the entire meeting. So I think that but I don't think this is a one-meeting situation, so.
You all can have more meetings. I don't care. It's perfectly,
Well, I
that's
don't-
why I mentioned that. If
but-
you all have the ability
Yeah, I don't
to
think
schedule
we
more
have the
meetings.
ability. People have other lives. These are volunteers for the town, okay? And so no, I don't think that's an option. I appreciate you throwing that, actually, I don't appreciate you throwing that out there, but at any rate, I think that we can, within 60 days, as being proposed, I think we can talk about it this coming meeting and then wrap it up the next meeting so you'll have it back to you. And I think 60 days is very reasonable. Thank you.
Okay. Keith?
No problem. I'm sorry, did Mr. Brightcrew say that 60 days is reasonable or not
Yes.
reasonable? Because we're looking at dates. All right, so what, as staff would propose is if you hand it to the comp plan board to bring it back to the council for your October 10th meeting and have the workshop prior to that meeting on October 10th, and then you can determine then if you're able to get through it or have more meetings, et cetera. So meaning that if they have 2 months, so then they'll be done by September, you know? So then October 10th is your next meeting after that's over with. So we could do a workshop on the day of your council meeting, which is October 10th. Whoever, you know, maybe come earlier, et cetera,
6
to
p.m.
that meeting, maybe start at 6 p.m. and have an hour just on what the comp plan board provided. And then at least you can start your process right after that 60 days.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion, but that's
Sound
where
like
the
a good
dates
idea.
fall.
Sounds like an excellent idea.
Yeah,
Good.
Good idea. We're good with that.
So
Andy,
we have
does that work for you?
consensus?
60 days.
Andy, that work for you?
It works for the council, it works for me.
When did you get in politics?
So just for advertisement purposes, is the council wanting to do 6 p.m. that night for the workshop, 6 to 7? Do they want to do it longer?
I think we absolutely have to do that. If we can get through it, great. If we don't, we'll have another one.
That's pizza night, Andy. Okay,
I think it's 6 p.m. Hey, Russell's asking, is 6 p.m.?
6 p.m.
Sounds reasonable. We can't figure it out in an hour, we're in trouble.
Okay,
All right. So that
Motion been
addresses that. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
second.
Okay. Any public comment or correction of our minutes? It's happened before. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Back to us. Any changes or corrections needed? Seeing none, call the question.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiscal,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Motion
Yes.
to adjourn? Motion to adjourn?
I'll accept it.
Yeah. Had to get it back.